I Am Courtney now is a digital media network. It's a beauty concept and consulting firm that offer hair services, digital support, as well as curriculum development.
You're listening to the Good for Business podcast, where we feature interviews, tips, and tricks from owners, operators, and innovators throughout Mississippi and around the world. And now, your host, Colin Krieger. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show this week. I am your host, Colin Krieger, and I am here with I Am Courtney, the legendary Miss Courtney Harris, producer of events, promoter of events, and all-around good lady. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Colin. I'm finally here.
Yeah.
Yes, I Am Courtney. I Am Courtney is my company as well as our brand. I'm only the manager, and it's also an acronym for I Am a Compassionate Overcomer. Understanding reality, talents are gifts from God. Never underestimate yourself. And I am a mother of two, 20 years apart, entrepreneur, over 2 decades of cosmetology experience, as well as an educator for the past 16 years. And I'm a third generation hairstylist.
There you go. So did you grow up in Columbus, or where are you from?
I'm from Columbus.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the first job you ever had here? That's what I like to ask.
Ooh, first job. It was my favorite job. It was the summer of '96. I worked at Hardee's. Mac Shan was the manager there, and wow, $4.75 was the minimum wage back then. However, I did pretty well working with older women. And we was opening up, and customer service was the thing.
Was that in East Columbus, or is that where on the
45?
45, okay. Because I've been here 1 week short of 20 years. So sometimes people are like, "I used to work at Walmart or Kmart," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know where that is." And they're like, "No, the other Walmart and the other Kmart." Where'd you go after Hardee's? What kind of jobs were you doing? Were you doing babysitting or anything else, or just that?
No, never babysat. I was in food service early in my high school years. From Hardee's, I went to McDonald's. I became the manager of a Pizza Hut Idlewild. I actually was one of the first openers of the McDonald's on 82. So it used to be across from Prost Park.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that. I haven't seen it, but I heard it.
Yes, and I was a part of that staff. I was maybe 19 years old. There I went to Victory Marketing, working with Dutch Village, Dutch Oil, and I became a manager. I don't think they knew I could count money so fast, but I've been in, food service and, using the cash register for some time. So I moved to Tupelo. I was offered an assistant management position with Victory Marketing at 19, 20 years old. However, when I was in high school, my grandmother owns a beauty college, so I dib and dab. I had a few hours in cosmetology, and once I was 22, I was like, oh, this not it. I would see family members making quite a bit of money, doing hair, and I was a manager now at a Sprint Mart, and it wasn't working for me, so of course, we came back to Mississippi, came back to Columbus, and I began cosmetology school in 2002.
Well, we've had, I think we're now 14 for 14 of people who at least did some food service work. I did 20 years in food service and restaurants. My stepfather was a chef. It makes the bones of you. It makes it work, and then you transition into a gas station fuel business. And I love Amy Bogue and her family and the Gillis family. Obviously, that's Josh's family.
Really?
With Sprint March, yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's my favorite story about Josh. I told him I wanted to start the podcast because I said a lot of times I've been in Columbus 20 years, and I'd know somebody, and I'd be like, they'd say, well, when you see Josh, tell him hi. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, that's my brother. And I'm like, I had no idea. So we do that. And then I call him. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have Amy Bogue on the schedule next week. And he's like, cool, my sister. I'm like, what? He's like, I had no idea.
Small world. Everyone is related in Columbus.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, the friendly part about it.
Yeah, you got to be friendly because if you talk trash about anybody, it's going to get back to them within an hour. I make sure when I talk out loud, I always, I'm very polite. I'm like, well, he's an ornery guy, but that's just how he is, Yeah, but talk about the skill set. It's part of the reason I left the restaurant business with Papa John's was it was never over at 5 o'clock. And I know hairstyling can get into the nighttime too, but there's generally not people calling you about, at 1 a.m. going, the till's $20 short. And that's a stress that people can't understand, especially about gas stations and stuff, is inventory and like you said, counting the bank statement, because you're going to get, 5 people are going to ask you why you were $30 short that day, and then you got to go after some 18, 17-year-old kid or watch the cameras and do all that stuff just because they didn't do the count correctly. Or it could just be
that's why I left Victory Marketing.
It's part of it. Yeah, it is. And of course, the especially the goal for a lot of hairstylists and stuff is the freedom of schedule and freedom of time. And I think much like construction workers, in my opinion, you're doing some construction on some people. You're changing people's lives or changing their day. So right after that, did you go to work with your grandmother? Or?
After beauty college, I received my license. So I'm a 3rd generation hairstylist. My paternal grandmother is the school owner, but my mother actually was a hairstylist, and they both went to school together. So I had a choice. I had a lot of choices to go, but I went to the salon my mother owned, and it was on 6th Avenue. It's still there, 12th and 6th Avenue, Sally's Boutique.
Yeah.
That's where I started my career. I stayed there for a few years, then I went to Lee Mall. I was the first African American to work at Regis and the styling area. That salon, I don't think it exists anymore.
No, I think it left right before COVID or something. Oh, yeah, no.
Okay.
Not just because of the new mole guy, but
right. So yeah,
it was a mainstay there with the cookie place. That I know it's not just because I went to eat the cookies, but probably so.
Right. So that was like between 2007. I know Mayor Robert Smith, at the time, he had just been elected. And that was like a big thing. And I actually started putting on the social media, or back then it was like MySpace and Facebook possibly.
Yeah.
Instagram wasn't around yet. So I would say I was the first Black to enter in this, cosmetology scene with diverse hairstyling.
Yeah. So, how did you went from that and you were cutting, so where were you cutting hair in 2009, 10, that sort of thing?
Okay, so I went to Mr. Bobby Jordan after Regis. I've worked in quite a few salons here in Columbus. Worked with Bobby Jordan because I liked his system of commission style. That's where I just came from, working in mall, but I could kind of, have a little bit more commission. My percentage would possibly be a little bit more if I worked with Mr. Bobby, and I was going to learn how to cut hair.
Yeah.
My purpose was always the continuing education of why I chose a job. So I only I had a great spot first 2 years out of the, business receiving a license. However, the choice of why I go to establishment is to learn from them. So I've learned how to be a facilitator, but I actually am a great learner as well.
There you go. How long do you work with Bobby?
Oh, on and off. I would say from like 2008 until I moved back from Atlanta, because in between, my grandmother, actually, she's 102. She still lives. But in 2008, she diagnosed with breast cancer, and she was going to decide to close her school. But before she closed, she was like, hey, you need to get your instructor license. And I did that. 2009, she closed. I was still kind of working with Bobby, and she gave me the opportunity. She was like, hey, you want to open up your own salon or manage your own salon, because the name of the salon was RL House of Beauty. It wasn't no longer Harris School of Cosmetology because she closed. And that's when I decided to, hey, let's do this. We had 5,500 square feet, and I moved to Atlanta in 2013 after staying with Grandma for a while. That's when I actually worked more behind the scenes. I worked with Tyler Perry Studios with his hair director for the plays. So that was before he actually purchased. Well, he had just purchased what he has now.
Yeah, it's a big multi-billion dollar
it was
operation.
Air Force base or some type of base, Army base.
Yeah, I think it was like a naval base or something. It's funny because our last guest who just walked out of here was talking about when he was Wesley Stewart, when he worked up in Atlanta, and he worked there too. So see, small world. You never know. The guy running the Renaissance Festival worked at the same studio where you would have been for a few years in Atlanta. So that's interesting. Yeah. It's a big operation. And I read last year that he sort of stopped growing it because of he stopped adding money into it because a lot of the AI stuff is making it a little easier to film stuff. You know? But he still takes care of a lot of people, you know?
Absolutely. And it was fun. However, that was early on in the behind the scenes. Instagram was just now popping up, and I actually build a network just behind of the apps literally put you in a bubble if you're first.
Yeah.
You know, that's the beauty of the digital space. So that's what happened when I was in Atlanta. I moved back here, and was 2015. Worked with Bobby Jordan for about 10 months, and I opened my own salon right there on 4th Avenue in Columbus, Waterworks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been staying busy ever since?
Busy with most of the digital because, of course, we had COVID. So from 2015 to, of course, to 2020, booming right there on the railroad track. And also, I'm a mother, too. So I had a little one in 2020.
Okay.
I also wrote a book. It's on Amazon, Our Shades of Black History. It's an anthology, so I have a chapter in it. It's called Chronicles of Sally's Baby. And you guys can hashtag that, and you kind of get the story for yourself. So it doesn't change. That's the beauty of, wanting to share and wanting to, make impact. So Chronicles of Sally's Baby, postpartum during a pandemic. I talking about isolation, despair, being a mother of two now, a 30-day-old or 3-day-old when I started. And my son calls from Rush College. He's like, oh, it's a pandemic. I'm coming home. Like, I'm thinking, because this is going into his senior year. I'm like, oh, my God, I hope he hasn't dropped out.
I have to look up Google what a pandemic was.
Right.
That's what happened to us. My wife had finished chemotherapy, and we were leaving Disney World when they had the press conference that said, by the way, the whole world, we're shutting everything down. We stopped at a Buc-ee's, and that was what I posted that day on social media. I said, I'm pretty sure this is where it started. This is Buc-ee's in Orange Beach, Alabama. I'm glad you read that. I can't imagine. Again, my wife went through chemo, but like you're having a baby.
And a 20-year-old.
And a 20-year-old, big baby. I have a big baby too. But that you're essentially locked in a space and scared,
Very. It was a scary moment for me because I was a new mom. I was a teenage mom before. Now I'm a high-risk mom, So during the pandemic, I actually struggled for a few months trying to adjust. But I got on this app called Clubhouse. It's an audio app. Podcasting had its best.
I remember that.
And I built community on there. Before AI, I had the actually resources of how to in the beauty and barber field. So we went to work. So we built a community. I connected with some of my tech friends, and that's how I actually wrote the book, because of some other people out of Houston, Texas. They was retired military, attorneys, city councilmen. We all put our story into one book, and I share it in the book. It wasn't until I was able to network, able to share my voice, my story, that I built that confidence back up. Sometimes we can get down, and a pandemic had a lot of us down.
No, when you feel like you're trapped inside, and just being frank, I think the black community took it much more seriously than the white community did. I think from my friends have said there's apprehension of other public health times when the black community was completely ignored. And even now, like when there's still older black folks wearing masks all the time now. That's a trust issue. a trust issue with history and with the community and stuff. And
it's a health issue.
Yeah.
We have, underlying conditions that we have to, and I was, like I said, I had just had a baby. So I didn't even get back to work probably to the top of 2022.
Remind me, was haircutting and stuff filled in essential services, or how did that work?
At first they say we was non-essential.
I remember it was one that came up like that August where they were like, some messy heads out here now,
Right.
Like realtors, they shut us down for 4 weeks, but then like 2 weeks later, whenever there's money involved, people are like, oh, that's essential. And we had a lot of people who had to move without seeing houses, and that was odd. But I do remember that coming up about a month and a half, 2 months into it, where y'all were like, you're licensing us. We must be important if we need a license to do this.
Exactly.
Like if you don't need a license.
And the reporters and everybody else on TV have their hair done. What's the problem?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I had to, adjust. I brought the baby in, and we service 50 and up. Most of my clientele is the older clientele. And of course, me being that third generation hairstylist, these were my mom clients. These were her classmates, So it's fun being able to service. And like I said, if it wasn't for food service, if it wasn't for kind of Hardee's and their system of making sure the customer is satisfied, I wouldn't learn that in just opening up a Milady's book of cosmetology. You have to actually experience it.
Well, I have lessons from the restaurant business all the time that I share with my kids of like, I'll have a day like today where I've got TV, meeting, podcast, then a closing, and then the person from the closing texts while I'm talking to you and says, we need to move it to 2:30, it's not 1:30, and then I got to move the 3 other meetings. That comes from, your line's backed up at Hardee's, or so-and-so called into work, I need to know where they are. And my daughter did real good with babysitting and pet sitting, my oldest daughter, but I made her go work at a restaurant because I'm like, you need to get uncomfortable. Exactly. You need to have situations where you're getting yelled at when it's not your fault, you're solving problems that you didn't cause. And it really helped her so much with a skill set that now she's at college that not everything's an emergency, because you realize, like, I've had a couple experiences in restaurants where we didn't get out of the weeds. Like, we just gave up and shut the place down. But I helped my friend at Katrina, so 10 years ago, while we're recording this, I'm evacuated to Meridian, Mississippi. And my friend owned the Papa John's there, and I went to go help him a couple days after. And like every day, we just opened with the food we had, and then we'd have to take the phones off the hooks, and we'd give away food. And then the next day, another truck would come, and we just did it again for like a week until I moved up here. But that was the service part of it. But also that at some point you have to be like, I can't do this. Like if you have if you've got an appointment at 5:00 doing someone's hair, and somebody comes in at 6, you're like, I can't. I'm not gonna be here all night to cut your hair, darling. I love you.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of people are last minute on that sort of stuff too. So.
My grandmother was very strict. So when I worked at her salon, we could only make appointments. She didn't allow the clients to watch me while I was doing hair. So I have clients out there, they're professionals, and they need their privacy. Everybody don't need to know who's who. Yeah. So I do kind of put First Lady out there a lot. She's been a long time client, but she have gorgeous hair. So sometimes you have to pick your battles when it comes to.
We talking about Stephanie? Stephanie Jones? As I said at the inauguration, we call my wife Stephanie too, because it's Stephanie, and then my wife's Desiree, but they're like, we're just going to call her Stephanie to make things easy. So
exactly.
Yeah, she's something else. So that's what.
Yes.
And I'm glad that she's doing the breast cancer thing. I know that was partially an honor to you and with my wife. And Zoom in Pink coming up this October. I'll make sure we're going to have her on the show before that.
We kicked it off with Desiree, 2019. Ma'am. I Am Aware. Desiree shared her story. And then Stephanie got together to do the Zumba, and we're kicking it off again.
That's what I always say about Stephanie and Stephen. And people just need to know them. I know that sometimes Stephen gets a tough time in the press. Nobody's going to give Stephanie a tough time because they're kind of probably scared of her. So. But she's tough. She's a hard worker. She's an exceptional realtor too, and just a nice lady, as they say. So, all right. So what's gotten into you? I know you're helping marketing with event and stuff. Now, did that grow from all your digital stuff? Or
it grew from Clubhouse. It grew from me meeting beauty professionals and CEOs of company. But in 2015, between 2017, before the pandemic, I was an ambassador for Booksy. And Booksy is like a digital company that schedule appointments for you. And I learned how data actually can build, dollars. And we collect a lot of data from the clubhouse, along with some tech professionals. And I was the connector. And my slogan was, I connect CEOs with CEOs. And we doing it still. So I Am Courtney now is a digital media network. It's a beauty concept and consulting firm that offer hair services, digital support, as well as curriculum development.
That's incredible. So yeah, and now most people won't know, and that's the reason that you're successful. Ladrico Isaac's a good example of that. Josh here, who's real into stuff. I don't always use the every single tool or AI thing or social media thing, but when something's new, I triple down on it. Mm-hmm. Or when you want to go where the eyes are. So like right now, what do they call it? Oh man, I just forgot the name of it. School. A school is a SKOOL is a thing for people and it helps you if you wanted to teach a real estate course, it helps develop it. They keep part of the money, but it's a lot easier than it's been before. But it's sort of like, you've got to keep up with WhatsApp and whatnot. Like right now, Whatnot, as far as selling stuff live.
Oh, I didn't even know about Whatnot.
You need to look at Whatnot. So people are selling, there's people in China and Japan that are selling billions of dollars of merchandise, and they're just standing there like it used to be home shopping. But it's local in smaller towns, and they'll be like, here's a dress from Courtney's store, and here's Stephanie's perfume, and they do it live, like on a Friday night. But
on TikTok, I seen it.
Yeah, but they do it. TikTok's had social shopping too.
Yes.
And I sell houses, so it's a little hard to be like, all right, let's buy this house. But I'm sure I could sell something else, Mm-hmm. But there's money in those hills in a small market. Like I've always doubled down and said, listen, much like yourself, like I'm charming and popular, but in my niche, in my industry, it's probably better for me to double down on that, because I've started seeing, and Ladrico helped me with that, pointing out some stuff locally, like you can make some money on Facebook locally. I've seen a few people posting that they're making $50-$100, but that's
something. I'm making 10 a month, 10 grand a month.
Yeah. And where we live in Columbus, Mississippi, Starkville, Mississippi, there's some people. There's a TikTok girl in Starkville I know making money. Terry Long, who runs walk-ons over in Starkville. And he's a regional guy, so he's doing some in some other cities now. And he's got 80,000 TikTok followers, and he's got half of them watching everything he does. That's good supplemental money.
Right.
From, if you're not paying attention, you're like, well, I don't like doing videos, or I don't like doing things. I really, up until I did this in WCBI, I didn't do that many videos of myself. Mm-hmm. I would just take pictures of other people and promote them. But it's interesting that people just think we're too small of a market, and they have no idea.
Columbus, Mississippi is a huge market.
Yeah.
I help those with events, trying to curate them. However, I'm mostly in tune with the online events. Online events, you're now able to get the interest of those that really wants to learn. If you're sitting behind a screen sharing and someone's there asking questions, that's a great feeling. In-person events, you have to, pump and prime, but you definitely can get people to click a link.
See that little chat bot on the side where they're like, you could tell they would never ask in public about something, and then on there they're like, hey, how do I get a loan?
Exactly. It's very engaging. A friend of mine, Susan Bennett, the social barber, she taught me a lot that she knows when it comes to digital marketing. I took that. We're still connected, and we basically find other professionals, whether it's a beauty professional or not, entrepreneurs that want to share what they know. We use Kajabi. That's a popular app that you can host your own online courses and things like that. Locally, we are pumping it up.
Oh yeah, y'all are doing good.
We're pumping it up at the Gathering Place. I'm creative director over there. I'm also behind the scenes on a lot of community events, past and present, I'll say that. So I like to make sure people are accommodated.
Yeah.
and people pay for convenience. So, believe it or not, with organic marketing is what I do. They pay for it faster because they believe it's organic, it's authentic.
Yeah.
So we don't put any money behind the ads yet.
Well, people would be surprised. I do for my actual houses for real estate. I spend a lot of money on that. But me personally, for the events I promote, I don't spend any money because, like, if you're consistent and have something appealing to people or something that's good for the community, they'll want to do it. And I wish we were back in, like you said, early 2020, when every human being in the world was on Facebook at the same time. And you could just put an event on there and they'd be like, but we're back to where we were 20 years ago, which is like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, this, radio, TV. Like, people, there, you get more than ever people like, I had no idea. Right. I'm like, man, I was like, sometimes I'll be like, I don't know what else. When I do have events that spend money on radio and TV and newspaper, which isn't most people, I'll be like, I don't know how you didn't know, because you can't put an ad in the paper every day or TV you can't afford it, you know? And then what are you going to pick the right radio station is kind of crazy, considering most people don't even are listening to Spotify or something. So you just got to hope you have something compelling. Like, here's my tip for you. The biggest results we've had from people on the show have been not me promoting it or me putting ads, has been them sending it out to their friends. And then I can tell. So like Scott Ferguson from Financial Concepts and Amy Bogue are neck and neck, but they keep emailing every week. Like, you need to watch my podcast. You need to watch my podcast. And like, there's other people who've been on who are probably socially more popular, but you know, they're doing it. They're not afraid to promote themselves. As I said, when you walked in, you're one of 4 people who people have asked for special events like, in Roderick, we're having our thing, or the Night Out Against Crime, but only 4 people have asked to be on the podcast. And I know other people think enough of themselves as an entrepreneur, as a business person, but maybe just not right over that edge. You know, like I've been calling bigger people around the state, podcasters and TikTok people, and just send them a video and saying, hey, I'd love to have you on sometime. Not trying to make any money off you. I just love what you're doing. And I said, I'll hit you back in 90 days. And I'm starting to get to the first 90 days, and I got my alarm, and I'll be like, so you'll be back in 90 days, and now we got 300,000 views. You know, if you're going to consider it, I'll hit you up in 90 days again, and you'll eventually get to them, because same thing. They've got to feel the same way I feel, that somebody's trying to help you for free. You might as well get on it. We have very few people on the WCBI thing that send me stuff. You're one of the few. Like, you know what they will do? They'll complain. Like, you didn't have my thing. I'm like, I mean, I can show you a screenshot of my phone. I think I have 48 events between now and Thanksgiving that could go. You know, there's CBI has rules. So like CBI will let some like ticketed, somewhat private events go on there, but for the most part, they're looking for more of like Main Street community stuff. For me, like if you send me a flyer, like as long, you know, as I say, so says several people, as long as they're wearing pants, I'm going to put it on my Facebook, you know. You know, and Rick Mason does a pretty good job of that with the event corner thing too. So it is hard. He'll tell you the same thing. It's hard to keep up with everything that's going on, especially this time of year. So. Yeah. I
have the event blueprint. I do have that. I can share with those that approach me, like what I need to do. It has to be catered to a specific group, and if you don't know who your buyer is,
who you trying to get in the door. Doesn't matter. And you can do stuff where if you're trying to, again, my last guest was from a Renaissance fair, which is like the old timey Vikings and people fighting and stuff like that. And like, it's not going to appeal to everybody. There's some cast over, like you'll go into something and be like, you might see one person who'll want to go to it. There's plenty of events here, and Rick Mason and the mayor and I talk about it all the time. There's plenty of events here that people may perceive as a black event or a white event that are great for everybody. You know, and there's a lot. I mean, that East Columbus Day thing that Roderick threw on was good. Like, there's stuff like that, and that's one of the best things we could do in our community is get people more together. And sometimes it's just
the Art Council have an event Friday night.
They're always doing something.
The Black Tie Gala for the magazine. I'll be in that magazine.
Okay. Yeah, I have the flyer on my list. So I don't know if Quan asked me to go. She probably wanted me to dance with her, so she probably backed off. So. And Quan's doing great there. And talk about like a family tree from Renee Sanders and Quan. Like Renee Sanders, I had her on her. She's nationally. I mean, they're a national powerhouse. Like when other United Ways are shutting down, they're growing.
Right.
So I don't want to get in her way. If she's around here, I'm kind of scared of her.
She's amazing. We have some amazing people in the Friendly City. Oh, yeah. And I'm loving it. I just, this is my only wish, and I used to be the enrichment hairstylist educator at the MUW. I think we should get that back. That's something that's missing in the community of knowing how to. We can have an event every day. Sometimes they're paid, but when the educational system actually gives those free curriculums or those enrichment courses, our city prospers. We learn more. So,
yeah, it's part of the culture, and it's part of the biggest divide that we've had about. We have the industrial sector out there, like all the parks, and really, other than PACCAR, they don't intentionally focus on hiring people. PACCAR does a great job of saying, we want especially African American females work in our factory from Columbus. Like, they really want to build a long-term community here. But the other ones, it's almost out of touch. There's no public transport there. They have the communiversity, but you got to get there. And then Lowndes County has the RTC Tech Center thing, which is a great thing. And there's some economic stuff. But like, I spoke at Career Day at Columbus High like 2 days in a row, and I've done it now 3 years. And every time I bring up, I'm like, do you know if y'all can just pass this school and get an 18 on your ACT, you can go to EMCC for free. If you go summer, you can finish in a year and a half and be making $70,000 a year. When I say nobody knows that, kids don't know it. The teachers are
it's not like in the classroom anymore.
Yeah, it's just not. And I don't know I don't know if you're aware who Forge is. Forge is a group.
I heard of Forge. That's the only company now that's really actually
and they just started it on their own, and it's started by women. And
really?
Christy Holbrook over there at Graham Roofing. She owns Graham Roofing, and she literally, just like a lot of things, saw a problem in the community and said, I want to fix it. And then didn't let anybody get in her way. Didn't go like, well, the communiversity's supposed to do, because it was this, who's supposed to do, like, we need more workforce training. Well, somebody needs to guide them. Like, the schools are trying to keep.
I need to go to Forge. How old do you have to be?
You don't have to be old at all. You don't even have to be in construction. They'll take your money. They have a conference coming up in October at the Trotter. Okay. But I'll connect you with it. They do a lot of
I went to school with Rob and Chad.
Okay.
Shouts out to the Graham boys.
Yeah, that's, and so like the, Burns Dirt and Development's real big in their group, and so they've got a lot of support. And of course now they've got like different chapters across the state, but that's right here in little old Columbus, Mississippi. They saw that, like, okay, we have this community, but not everybody knows about it. We need kids in the trades. We need kids. And the first couple of years, probably the overeducated parents were like, well, my kid's going to do coding, and my kid's going to do this. Well, my daughter started at Ole Miss this week, and they were flat out telling them, like, you can know how to do coding, but every year it gets less and less valuable.
Right. AI took over the coding.
Well, it's changing a lot of the curriculum at their school. They said there's going to be classes. They said there'll be classes you're taking this semester that'll be useless in 3 years. Like, they're aware of it in real time. She's doing like international studies for international business. And they said they can take most of their curriculum was like, you need to learn how to do business in Europe. You need to learn how to write contracts. Well, contract stuff's already solved. Like, you can write a contract in English. Not only does it translate it, not only does it do it, it makes it succinct and legal in that area in France. And in Europe, unlike here, so like here we do a real estate contract, you do it, you sell the house, the lawyer signs off on it, you bring it to the courthouse. There, when you sign a real estate contract, it goes to their courthouse first, and they just review it and make sure. It gives this AI is like 100% accurate. It's not 99% accurate.
Right.
Like it's and it's not about eliminating jobs. But I'm just saying, like, that's a whole year of her school that's gone. That she may have to take one of the classes this year, and it'll be it's not gonna be a bad, useless class, but it's it's something. It's AI is moving. It's helped me just with this show. Like, we haven't edited the show, but like just getting the transcripts from the show or the summary of the show takes 3 minutes, as opposed to, I'm a former newspaper editor, and so is my brother. Like, we would listen to the show for 30, 40 minutes, I could write a summary. And then now that we've sort of trained the AI that what we're looking for, it's just incredible. Like, and it's going to hurt some people's jobs, but I think the biggest thought process 10 years ago was it was going to get rid of the dumb people, like simple jobs. It's the opposite. It's artificial intelligence.
Right.
Like, paralegals I know right now are kind of scared. There's some work from engineers. Like, it still needs to be checked, but it's coming
AI can't cut hair though.
I know, and
they have some robots that's trying, but they never receive a haircut from me. Obvious.
It'll probably be to cut my hair first. There won't be much left. But I mean, you were talking about the cultural significance of if they had a hair program at the W or EMCC or a public school. the African American female haircutting and male haircutting is an experience. It's a cultural part of it's part of the culture. It just is. It's not, I've only had 3 people cut my hair. That's odd. But like the same guy growing up all the time in New Orleans did Katrina. Somebody else cut it. Now Zach Musselwhite cut it. But you're talking about a whole cultural experience that a robot's not going to be able to replace. And on the flip side of that too, I always like to remind people it took 10 years for Columbus to get a Starbucks. So things are going to move a little slower here.
That's too slow for Starbucks.
Yeah.
They thought about it 10 years.
It just took 10 years. They had the little one at the hotel before they had the big one, So the first Starbucks in Mississippi, I think, was 2001 or 2, and then we got our one here in 2011 or 12. I'm not a Starbucks guy, but it's okay. I'm not a coffee guy.
Yeah. I like coffee black. That's it.
There you go. Well, so events, what kind of groups are you helping out with events right now?
Nonprofit and for-profit. We help those groups create community events. I've worked with Parole to Pride. I work with True Foundation. True Foundation is a ministry, and that was the first nonprofit I worked in 2019. We was having we gave college students care packages. So it was called toiletries, treats, and bed sheets. And I think you helped with that. One of those here,
allegedly.
2020, that was huge. 2020 was the pandemic, and I did it on my own then. And we had different businesses like J5. We had that year we gave away $50 gift cards, and we was able to each year raffle off a 32 to a 50-inch TV. So each year it got bigger. We went to TNT. It's TNT. I think it's still TNT. It's like a training on 69, the gym.
Oh yeah.
That was our last year, and that year I got COVID. So that was 2023. And we that was the last year from 2019 to 2023. Like I said, I helped for-profits and now I'm helping those that literally want to boost their event. If you know anyone that maybe want to have a birthday party, maybe want to have an open mic night, maybe want to even come in a studio like this, it's all in who you know.
Oh yeah.
Shouts out to Colin Krieger. I got him on speed dial. I done had that number for a while, and it feels good. Now your picture pop up.
Oh, good.
And that's Colin.
I'm a grown-up now. Well, part of, we're talking about Katrina a little this week. It's been 20 years for my wife and I. We came here a couple weeks after, and we really made a decision to stay here about 12 years ago. Like, we bought a house downtown, and part of our discussion when we stayed here was we're going to stop waiting to get invited to parties. And we're going to try to connect the community on stuff. Because growing up in New Orleans, say what you want. There's bad things in New Orleans race-wise and stuff. But if your neighbor's having a party in their front yard, you could stop. Black, white, green, whatever. I never felt uncomfortable walking with a date. And if I saw 100 black people in a party, walking up. And I wouldn't even today. It's just a little different culturally. And I honestly think it's gotten way better here in the last 10, 12 years. Mm-hmm. Part of that, I think, is the transplants of people who aren't from here, who've come with the factories and the colleges and stayed. Especially you can see that movement kind of downtown where people are like, I always like to say we can all be poor together. We can all be here.
And we're neighbors. We actually stay on the same street. I would walk up to the parties way back. You've had the parties a long time now. And it was community, you don't see a diverse community on North Side unless you on Colin Krieger Street.
Well, that was one of the most surprising things the first couple times we had big parties was honestly, I was like, yeah, anybody can come. They're like, I don't understand. I'm like, anybody can come. And I'm like, they're like, anybody? I'm like, you need to invite a black person? Do we need to have a talk? It's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And yeah, no, it's, there's always more that can be done. I've talked to many of my friends, black, white, and the other, were like, oh, we have this, St. Patrick's Day party for the Humane Society. And I'm like, man, we need to get some more black folks out here. And it's, there's intentional things you can do. I'm like, they're just dogs. Like, there's no fundamental bad part about it. But there's certain parts of town, certain restaurants some people don't like to go to and the other. And they all deserve the attention. That's my phrase. Everybody deserves attention is my phrase. There's so many people until you get them in a seat like this where you don't know their story. And I tell people, I'm like, it's hard to really have hate for people when you just sit down and talk to them.
Exactly.
You know, like you have these images of like, oh, this is evil, this is evil, that. And you're like, eh.
And that's why we bring in comedy in Columbus. It's with the Gathering Place. And it's going to be every fourth Saturday. So those that are listening, catch us on a fourth Saturday at the Gathering Place, 320 19th Street North, Columbus, Mississippi, for laughs, for joy, and be merry, and, you know, have a drink or two.
So how long has the Gathering Place been there?
It's been a year. It's been in progress.
That's a heck of a year.
Yes, it's been a year, but this past 6 months, it was a speed dial. It was push the mission of this is for everyone, you know. And once people come in, they like, oh, I can do this in here. Or I can. There's a lot of potential. We're offering opportunities now outdoors. We have a privacy fence. We have a stage. We have lighting outside. We have the Munson Brothers and Frog Bottom now. Yeah. You know, with a twist. Nah.
Well, the one of the most important things, and my brothers had to go out a lot more for me than I used to because my wife's health, and she's getting back to it. We're talking about going out, like we go out. But like some of the reports he's done on Danny's Caterings or other barbecue and hamburger places have been great because like if I'm hearing my white friends go like, oh, I went to MLK and went to this, and I'm like, that's the sort of thing I grew up in New Orleans where people didn't think like it's bad to go into a bad neighborhood. And again, once you go, you're like, oh, I'm going to go to Danny's all the time, or I'm going to go to the Gathering Place all the time because it just the mystery. The same, and honestly, the same mystery if it was a Mexican restaurant. They just never been in that culture before. And
I went to the Mexican restaurant yesterday.
The little one, the grocery store.
It's good. Yeah. I like it. It's very fresh.
Yeah, the woman who's their cook used to cook for some guys who worked for me, so I had a hookup for a long, long time.
Oh,
so
good.
I know you got to get there early. Yeah. Early and often, just like internet, you got to be on your game. So, what are the next? Since we're finishing up here, what is if they want to reach out to you directly, either for marketing help or a haircut, and then being talk about any events coming up in September and October.
Okay, so IamCourtney.net. That's IamCourtney.net. As well as you can give me a call 662-570-2123. If you go on the website, my email's there, phone number's there, and my work is on there. So those that are looking to host their next event, reach out. Let's turn your niche into an event, whether it's in person or online. And you will see me in these Columbus streets because I love events. So say hi. Yeah. As well as come by the Gathering Place for live entertainment. Just last month we had Music Doll. She's out of Tupelo doing great things in the state of Mississippi. And be on the lookout for live music on second Saturdays at the Gathering Place and comedy on fourth Saturdays.
Y'all got some pretty big comedy guests who come there. People don't realize like how big they are, but I've seen some of the things, and I said about the one coming up this weekend on WCBI, and I was like, I've seen him on TV, you know?
He's actually on a really big podcast now, Disrace, DISRACE, on YouTube with DC Curry. So, Bo P. Barnes is a OG. He's a OG in the comedy game, and we want to have a great time. Our host is actually booking these young men that's coming in. They're seasoned, but they are funny. Last month, we had the mayor. He was just maybe 30 days in, and he got a few jokes on him. We're not going to release those, though, but it was a great time and enjoy. Those that can't make it on the fourth Saturday, still reach out. If you want to have a comedian for your next event, check us out.
There's some real, I mean, we're in the heart of the Gulf South comedian like network between Atlanta, Memphis, New Orleans, all that. There's a lot of heavy hitters. Mainly, a lot of it has to do with Tyler Perry, and they want to stay close to Atlanta because there's a lot of money in Atlanta and comedy clubs and strip clubs and stuff that need entertainment. And this isn't that far of a drive.
No, it isn't. But we need that entertainment here, coming to the heart of the city, heart of the South. We're the center of the South, so let's give them what they're asking for.
I'll take it. Like, we're good. I like people have been like, we're not a bad place. I'm like, no, we're a great place. Start acting like it. Mm-hmm. If more people act like it, more people hang out, things are going to keep getting better.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for coming on the show this week. Well, I'm going to have you on again. I'm positive of that. So
let's do it.
All right. Thank you so much. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. My name is Colin Krieger and my day job is real estate. If you're looking to buy or sell, I'd love to talk to you. Or if you just want to sit and talk real estate in a no pressure situation, I'd love to help you. I work with RE/MAX Partners in Starkville, Columbus, and West Point, Mississippi. I can help you find an agent anywhere in Mississippi or anywhere in the country. Just reach out to our office at 662-327-7705 or find me anywhere when you type in 662-329-SOLD.